Ignition sequence starts. 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. Liftoff. We have a liftoff.
Hey everybody, this is the Digital Asset Investor, and I did not sleep well. And the reason I did not sleep well is that in this part of the world, we had, when hurricanes hit on the Gulf Coast of the United States, sometimes the after effects of the hurricane, it'll spin and then it goes over the southeast United States and spins. And when it does that, a lot of times that spinning hits Georgia and we get a lot of the rain. And sometimes we get some pretty high winds. Well, last night was one of those nights, and I've got big, huge Georgia pine trees in my yard. And so it always makes me nervous, and I sleep with one eye open when these things are coming through because I'm always paranoid. Even though I've already cut down like 3 or 4 pine trees, it always makes me paranoid about one of those trees falling down because they're big. And I have had one fall across my house during one of these hurricane type things. And so I'm nervous about it all the time, but I survived. But my 8-year-old did come and get in the bed with me, which is always a pain because he's one of those that he's not going to let you off if he gets in bed. He's going to kick you all night. You're going to know he was there. Okay. This was an interesting tweet. XRP Huey CBDC tracker. I went to this website and I think I've seen it before, but I had not seen it in a while. And I don't even know. I'm assuming it's updated because I went through some of the countries and I think it's accurate, but it shows you, it tracks all the progress on central bank digital currencies around the world. And it breaks them down into research, development, pilot, launched, or canceled. And when you look at this, like you can hover over Russia and it's in a pilot, China's in a pilot, Australia's in the research stage, India's in the research stage, but you just go around, Greenland has nothing going on, Algeria, these are the countries that have nothing going on in the gray. But when you look at this, Canada's in a pilot, the United States is in research. So here's what you're supposed to believe when you're looking at this map, and that's why I find it interesting. What is the one country of all these different colors that you're looking at that has more to lose, more on the line when it comes to the creation of digital currencies and the world going digital? There's only one, because this is the only country that has the status as the world reserve currency right now. It has the most to lose. Everybody knows it. But what we're supposed to believe is that they're just still researching it. They're still looking into it. I don't buy it. Let me beat on the table a little bit. I do not buy it because they had to, there's too much to lose. So there's no way on the planet that Canada is ahead of us. Brazil's ahead of us. South Africa is ahead of us. Let's find this. Thailand's ahead of us. China's ahead. Kazakhstan, Russia. Who else is ahead? Ukraine's ahead. France is ahead. Let's see. Any other interesting? That's all Canada. That's back to Russia. So wait, here's one. Uruguay is ahead. Venezuela is ahead. Senegal is ahead. All of these countries are ahead of the United States in the creation of a digital currency when we are the one country that has the most to lose. Let me say this very clearly, put it in quotes. I do not believe that. I believe that the United States, and I'm not saying that as a citizen of the United States. That's not even a pro-US statement. I'm just saying that I think that they've always known that there's too much to lose by not being one of the first. And that's why I think this is just not the case. All right. Moving along, This is interesting. This is from today. I'm going to just give you the opener. It's on the economy. So let's let you hear this.
We are back now with Fox News Alert. The third quarter GDP report is out. Look at that. The economy growing at a record 33.1%.
Wow, just days before the election. It's higher than was predicted. It comes after the GDP fell by.
So I just wanted to show you that. Apparently, well, when you shut the whole country down, whole world down, then all of a sudden you open the world a little bit back up again. Yeah, you're going to have numbers like that. That's pretty, but that's a good thing for people, I guess. All right. XRP Crypto Wolf. JP Morgan all of a sudden has been activated, by the way. JP Morgan is actively exploring digital asset custody and is looking for help from crypto firms. JP Morgan has been engaging with digital asset firms like Fidelity Digital Assets and Paxos on how it can offer digital asset custody to its clients. Maybe they should contact PolySign. That would be an option. So this week we get JP Morgan and PayPal have basically announced they're coming. XRP Bart sent me this. ISO20022. As tussle between banks and non-bank payment companies continue in order to dominate the payments space, notes this, quote, SWIFT, which received a setback after delaying ISO20022 migration, is taking several other measures to make cross-border payments accessible. All right. And then this is a little report on that. And then there was this that came in. I may have these. No, I think they're right. JP Morgan, and this is from XRP Yo-Yo. JP Morgan invites banks and fintechs to build on its blockchain network. The bank executive revealed that the JPM coin is now live as a major. It's live even though regulatory certainty has not been had on these. But for somehow JPM coin's live. Now live as major tech firm will use it to make global payments starting this week. This will be the first time JP Morgan, and then he goes on. Anyway, this is a chart that he puts in underneath this. Interledger Protocol Family and ISO20022. And it's got Interledger Protocol, XRP, Ripple right here. You'll see R3 and Corda, IBM and Stellar. And then down here's JP Morgan, Circle. You can kind of see who's in the game here. All right. Hold on. My son just texted me something. Did you know that now these high schools allow these kids to have their phone in class and they can actually text to people while they're in class? That kind of surprised me because my son just went into high school and I assumed that they made them turn all their cell phones off, but they don't. So he just texted me and said, "Can we hit after school?" And the answer to that is yes. And by the way, Heo Seiko Carmona sent me a message the other day, and he said, listen, I hear you talking about your 8-year-old in baseball, but you need to also talk about your 14-year-old and how he's progressing. You need to be proud of both of them. And the answer to that is yes, I am. I told you the other day that my youngest batted 1,000 for this year, for the entire season. That's like over 20 games. He batted 1,000. Okay. That means he got on base every single time he went to the plate. I've never heard of anybody doing that. Well, here's another I've never heard of. My 14-year-old has not struck out in 2 travel ball seasons, and he's facing pitchers that are throwing into the 80s now. In 2 seasons, he has not struck out. Now, this is, I think, because my plan is working. These kids, my goal has always been that by the time they're a senior in high school, any field that they walk onto, and I tell them this all the time, any field that they walk onto, they will have not just hit more baseballs than anybody on the field. They will have hit more baseballs than anybody on the field, teams combined, all the players combined on the field. They will probably have hit somewhere between 50 and 75,000 more balls than both teams combined have hit in their lifetime by the time we get there. And that's not all players, but that's usually going to be the way it is. And my theory is that they can go anywhere with it at that point. But I've been trying to illustrate to them a larger point. I don't care if you want to be a doctor or whatever it is you want to do. If every field you walk out onto, you can say, well, I've studied 5 more hours than anybody here in the case of being a doctor. Or I've done this. Anytime if you're willing to put in the time, and that's most people's problem in life. is they're just not willing to put in the freaking time. Everybody says they want to be a rock star, and they say they want to be the best. They say they want to be on an all-star baseball team. They say they want to be a doctor. They say they want to be a lawyer. They say they want to be whatever. But saying it and being willing to put in the effort that other people are not willing to put in is everything. And this has not been a lesson I've been teaching my sons about baseball. It's a lesson about life. Sorry to get sidetracked there. Here we go. Jeremy OLeary made a point that I've been making about PayPal. Now, he said he bought $100 of Bitcoin on PayPal. I'm assuming he's one of the guys that's first in allowed to test it, because I didn't know you could get on there yet. And then this guy says something that a lot of people have been saying. Try sending it to your ledger. Great milestone, my ass. And Jeremy OLeary says what I think, which is crawl, walk, run, which, by the way, words mean things. And this came from Brad Garlinghouse. Don't think that this guy hasn't been sitting in a room talking to Brad Garlinghouse at the IMF or whatever, because he has. They will get there. Baby steps. He's exactly right. And then he took the time to tweet it again. He tweets this out and he says, seriously, folks, introducing 400 million people to the idea of Bitcoin and gaining exposure, which drives underlying market demand, is a big win. And knowing the PayPal leadership, this is just the start of their crypto ambitions. And this is something I find amazing that a lot of people can't get their mind around. Sticking their toe in the water is everything. For them to head down this path is a freaking big deal, and not just for Bitcoin, but crypto in general. All right. Now, I thought this was interesting. Yesterday, we covered how Michelle Bond, who was with the government, the regulatory affairs for Ripple, she left, and she's now with this digital, what's it called? It's called ADAM, but that stands for Association for Digital Asset Markets. So she's now there. And then Hester Pierce, who is crypto mom from the SEC, okay, works with Jay Clayton, and she's like the one for crypto from the SEC, replies to her and says, congratulations, I'm looking forward to discussing digital asset regulatory issues with you. In other words, so they're friends and they've been talking, they know each other. And I came in and I said, I put a big elephant in the room that's bouncing on a trampoline. And I said, did y'all get a chance to discuss XRP before she left Ripple? Because this has been my point all along, folks. All the world is a stage. You're telling me that these two ladies did not sit in a room and that XRP has not been talked about and all of the, whatever it is, a laundry list. Look, if they haven't come in on Ripple and kicked their doors in, or sent the feds to kick their doors in, that means they've got a checklist at a minimum. This is, it doesn't pass the smell test with me. This idea that somehow Ripple's just out here wondering what's going on. And Michelle Bond obviously knows the people at the SEC. And so I think I'm asking what is an obvious question. Well, what was the XRP discussion about? I mean, this was what you've been living for years now. What's the big secret? I mean, you've obviously been talking about it. Why is all that we get is Brad Garlinghouse or Chris Larson coming out about how China's ahead of us and how we're behind and we can't get regulatory clarity? Well, how come these guys aren't coming out? They can obviously talk to each other when they move on to another company. How come they can't at least come out and say, hey, we're talking to Ripple and we've given them a checklist. They're working on the XRP checklist. Why do I have to sit here and feel like Mugato on Zoolander, like everybody's taking crazy pills? This is one of those things you get in a room and you work it out and it's done. And I think they got in that room and worked it out a long time ago. And I think there's a reason that we don't get to be told what's a common sense answer to this. Yeah, we've been working with Ripple and here's the things we weren't comfortable with. And they're working on them now and they've got to become more decentralized or whatever. And then, we'll give them the approval if that happens or something. Like Dr. Evil says, throw me a freaking bone here. You know, that's all anybody wants, just a bone. Throw us a bone here. I mean, I do feel like everybody's taking crazy pills half the time. Just give us something other than we're behind and all. I mean, come on. All right, XRP Crypto Wolf, speaking of give us something, SBI Holdings CEO Yoshitaka Kitao says Ripple is looking to move to Japan for its global headquarters. SBI Holdings is also working with Chikuhu, however you say that, bank, Kyushu Electric, and other partners on issuing regional digital currencies for all of Japan. Now, I've seen some different news things going around that say that Ripple is moving to Japan. Who knows? Look, I'll go back to what I said before. Ripple, look, if they move, they're really not moving. They might be changing some paperwork that now says that their corporation is based out of Japan, but they're already in these places. SBI Ripple Asia is already there. Now, I guess Ripple could physically go and open a location for just Ripple in Japan, but they're still going to have an office in the U.S. or several of them. They're still going to have to at some point cross the bridge of regulations. Why can't they? This is my main point. Why couldn't Ripple do in Japan right now whatever they would be able to do if they did physically change their corporate documentation? Because whatever they're doing in Japan now, they're following the laws of Japan. Just like whatever they're doing in the UAE, they're following the rules of the UAE. And that's how it works. That's my understanding of how it works. So this stuff, it makes me wonder if there's a reason they want to transition and make Japan or one of these countries a hub or something for them. I don't know. Okay, yesterday, Link2 had their Lunch and Learn, and they tweeted this out, I believe, today. Today is Token Day. One of the original video games and perhaps most beloved, Atari, has just released public markets IEO sale of its Atari token. We heard it first at our Lunch and Learn. See you next Wednesday. This is a link they have to their Lunch and Learn for next week, and they're going to have this guy, who is Saswata, is the CEO, Saswata Basu, is the CEO and founder of Ochain, a blockchain-based data privacy network. So anyway, you can go to their Twitter feed at Link2 Inc., and you can click there and sign up for that if you want to go to that. But as far as this goes, I don't want in any way, I am not telling anyone to go and buy an IEO because I don't even know what an IEO is. Initial equity offering, I'm assuming. I don't know what that is. So don't go and buy that. I'm not telling you that at all. I don't know what that is. XRP Wizard sent me this. I thought this was cool. Elon Musk's SpaceX will make its own laws on Mars. I don't have to go any further into it than that. I find it interesting that the United States government is going to let SpaceX launch all these satellites from their territory. And then he's going to get up there and Elon Musk and SpaceX is going to have its own laws on Mars. I wonder what happens if China lands there the next day and says, well, we want to make our own laws on Mars too. Then you might have a problem. I just can't imagine that the U.S. is going to let them do it. Now, this was interesting too. This guy says, check out the link on Fox today. And the reason I wanted to show this is it reminded me of what the Winklevoss, remember a few weeks ago, the Winklevoss brothers, they were interviewing, the guy from Twitter. I can't remember his name. He was wanting them to sell him on Bitcoin. And so they were interviewing him and they were telling him that we might be able to mine asteroids for gold one day. Hold on. What is this? Come on. There we go. Said we might want to mine asteroids for gold. We might be able to mine asteroids for gold one day and it'll kill the gold supply because there'll be a lot more of it. And so that's what the point of this article, that's why I wanted to show this, because they're saying the asteroid discovered 170 years ago could be worth 10,000 quadrillion dollars. Is that how you say that? 10,000 quadrillion. And the reason is because they're saying that it has, it's almost entirely comprised of iron and nickel. So the metals would be worth that kind of money, I guess is what they're saying. I thought that was kind of interesting. Let's see. Barry Silbert tweets this out. Central banks are starting to drop gold. Central banks became gold sellers for the first time since 2010. And that's on Bloomberg. I got a lot of random things today. Chinu Patel sent me this. MicroStrategy, this is interesting. This company that bought a bunch of Bitcoin that we've been talking about. MicroStrategy has earned $78 million in the last 3.5 years from their business operations. MicroStrategy has earned $100 million in the last 2 months from their Bitcoin purchases. And they're showing you right here. You think that's getting the attention of any companies out there, or just individuals and companies? Well, it's going to if it hasn't already. Rob Licker sent me this. Looks like the Bank of Canada governor says digital dollar project moving past trial stage. Chief of Canada's central bank has said its national digital currency initiative is progressing past the experimental phase. So yet again, folks, Canada's ahead of us. Everybody in the world's ahead of us, and we're the ones that have to protect the world reserve currency status. But they're all ahead of the United States. That's what you're supposed to believe. And then we had this. Brett Fox Business breaking another 751,000 Americans filed for jobless aid last week as layoffs remain high. So this thing still remains kind of iffy, folks. Now, this I missed from a couple of days ago. This is one of the guys from Grayscale. Let's see what his position is. Michael Sonnensen. He's managing director at Grayscale. He gets on there, but I'm more interested in about halfway through wanting you to hear what the CNBC guys have to say about how they've turned. I mean, they have completely changed their tune on Bitcoin. Or digital assets in general. I'm going to get closer to it. All right, here we go.
You have moments of volatility like that 50% drawdown day. We had investors looking to opportunistically add to their positions, not running scared because Bitcoin had a drawback like it's had before.
All right. Michael, always great to get your thoughts. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Michael Sonnenschein of Grayscale. Pete Najarian, how are you feeling about Bitcoin as a placeholder in your portfolio today versus, say, 2 years ago?
Yeah, I think people have gotten a lot more comfortable with it, Mel, than they were a couple of years ago. I think every year that goes by, people find a little bit more comfort. Obviously, the Jamie Dimons of the world and so many others that weren't involved initially have sort of started to get involved a little bit. And so I think going forward, yeah, this is going to be something much bigger. I'm getting a little bit more into it myself. My brother John's been into it for multiple years, but I think this is something that we're all adapting to slowly, but we are adapting to it. And some of us probably have gotten there too slowly. And I'm in that camp because this is a category that's absolutely been on fire. I know it's volatile, but it certainly is a category that's gone just absolutely parabolic versus the market.
Isn't it amazing how their tune changes when they're ready?
Tim, quick thought here.
I think the next part of this trade is to go into the broader, digital currency markets. And again,
the broader digital currency markets, the altcoins is what he's talking about.
We've seen this before, and a rally in Bitcoin is pulling broader currencies. I think you just have to be very careful, but the legitimacy is there. I don't think there's a question about that. I think it's really people need to do their work on outside of Bitcoin where there's opportunities, because I think there.
You mean like XRP, the greatest digital asset ever created? Yes, that's exactly what you mean. Before I finish this video, I wanted to show you this from Ledger. Look, the more people that come into crypto, the more scams you will have. And Ledger is warning people. As there are currently phishing attempts going on, Ledger would like to remind you of a few safety tips to help you avoid such scams. Please take note of the following and remain vigilant. We will only contact you via email and never via SMS or phone call. The only two legitimate Ledger email addresses are hello@ledger.com and noreply@ledger.com, as well as our customer support Zendesk email. I'm not going to go through all these, but the point is that you need to pay attention. Never give your 24 seed words to anyone, period. I'm the digital asset investor. I'm not an investment advisor. This is for entertainment purposes only. Please subscribe, hit the like button, and tell your friends and family that we need to know, what did Michelle Bond and the SEC talk about with regard to XRP? Why can't anybody at least throw me a frickin' bone here? Thanks for listening.